introduce this, I like to talk about this concept I picked up a little later on in life about, and I call it wise effort, right? I love being a provider. I'm a happily married father of 4 very young kids, and I get a lot of significance out of providing for the people I love, right? It's just something that means a lot to me. I want to do a really good job there. And my philosophy has always been, as long as I'm willing to work hard enough, I'll always be able to provide, right? But as I've gotten older, I've realized that it's a little bit more than just working hard, right? You see 2 people and they're working side by side, working just as hard as each other, but one person's making substantially more than the other. So it's not just hard work, it's also smart work. It's investing your time and your effort where they're going to get the highest return. It's about asking the question, how hard is my hard work working for me? Now, real estate is one of those industries that has a very high rate of return, potentially, depending on your work ethic, right? In fact, 90% of the wealthiest folks in this country got there via real estate as their goal, whether it was directly in the industry as a real estate agent or maybe a loan officer like us, or as an investor. And there's a couple reasons for this, right? Reason number one is when you're moving commodities that are worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, it can be pretty lucrative to get a little piece of. And reason number two is there's no ceiling, right? You investigate different types of jobs you can get, whether it's an engineer or a doctor or I'm working at across the street at the Starbucks. There's a cap at what you can make, right? You can work your way up the ladder, but there's a top to that ladder. And in real estate, there really is no ceiling, right? Your work ethic can take you as high as you want to go, which I think is why it makes it so intoxicating to so many of us. So fast forward to Pacific Wholesale Mortgage, PWM. Who are we? Where do we fit in the real estate space, or more specifically, the lending space? So my business partner, Robert, and I got together a couple of years ago, and we decided to build PWM based on 4 unique pillars. When they're all combined, make us who we are. And I'm going to spend the remainder of our 30 minutes together kind of breaking down these 4 pillars for you guys. Pillar number 1, we're an online cloud-based company. Pillar number 2, we're a mortgage broker. We're a broker proudly. Pillar number 3, education and training, man. It's the backbone behind everything we do. It's the pillar I'm most passionate about. And then pillar number 4 is the profit share ownership pillar that I'm going to kind of end on today. So pillar number 1, guys, is that we're an online cloud-based company. Guys, bottom line, the way we're able to offer the wholesale rates and fees we do, the way we're able to offer the aggressive profit share option within our company that we do is because we are online. And the reason why that's so advantageous, guys, is think about it. If you got a big fancy building that you want to wow the clients and they're going to come in to sign, you're just going to blow them away with this incredible building right on the ocean front, right in that lease center. I mean, what comes along with that is this giant ball and chain of an overhead, right? You got the monthly payment on that building. You got the janitorial services and the phone staff and the front desk and internet, all of these costs that end getting passed along to the client in terms of higher rates and fees. Somebody's got to pay for it, right? And that business is to stay profitable. They're going to widen out their margins, up their rates so that they can pay for all the overhead. So when you cut all that out, you start to have a more competitive product. And that's why these online guys that came out 15 years ago are killing the big banks, because they have a more succinct business model that gives a better deal to the client. That is why, number 1, proudly predominantly an online cloud-based company. Pillar number 2, guys, is we're a mortgage broker. For those of you who are new, you don't understand what broker means, I'm going to break it down. So I just got my license, let's say. I'm excited. I'm ready to go work, right? Ready to get my feet wet in the industry. I can go to work for one of 2 types of companies. I can go to work for a direct lender, means over to Wells Fargo or over to Golden One, Summit, Guild, wherever. But I'm working for one brand. I got one bank I'm working for, and I'm kind of handcuffed to what that bank can and can't offer. If I'm a Wells Fargo loan officer, I can't sell you Golden One's loans. It doesn't work that way. Now, contrast that to the brokered world. There's really no limit to how many banks you can work with, right? We got 25 plus banks in the back office, right, that all have different unique programs and products to offer your clients. And the flexibility that model gives you makes this setup superior. It's why we've embraced it, and it's who we are. Now, to illustrate the power of the broker model, I always talk about my story. I've been doing this for 8 years. In the first half of my career or so, I started working for a direct lender, right? One bank, one name. And as such, I didn't have the best rates. In fact, I had some of the highest rates in town. I didn't have that many products to offer, but I deeply believed that I could provide a better experience for my borrowers than the next guy. If I was transparent enough, right? If I was accountable to my people, if I had great communication before, during, and after the process, and if I was willing to work harder than the next guy, then I can get the business and I could grow. And I took that philosophy, these principles up on the slide, and I just hit the streets. And I did pretty good. Within 3 years, I was making about 3 times what I was as a civil engineer, which is the industry I left before I got into lending. But I realized about 3 years in, pounding the pavement, that there's 3 types of customers out there in the lending space, in most spaces. You got the top of the pie, that type of customer, man, they just care about the price. Doesn't matter your energy on the phone, doesn't matter how friendly you are. They're going to cut you off and be like, bro, just tell me what your rate is. Just tell me what you're charging me. You got that kind of customer. And then on the left side, you got the kind that just cares about service. Man, they want to feel good around you. They want to feel like you're going to take care of them, like they're in good hands. And then you've got the third of the pie that really doesn't feel passionately one way or the other, and you have the ability to sway. Now, when you have high rates and fees, when you're the biggest and most expensive guy in town, right, there's a third of the pie I could never touch. I used to get so nervous when it came time to talk about the rate, when I knew everyone was going to beat me. My hands would be shaking in the presentation, right? Because inevitably I get that person, they're like, dude, I just heard a commercial. Why is this other lender like 0.5% lower? Right? And that happened. And eventually I ended up losing a client that I really cared about. This was about 3 years in. I really jived with them, right? I met with them late on a Friday night, pre-approved them. They're out there looking. I do my pre-approval call. I bring in all this good energy, right? Because I'm all about big energy. And they cut me off. They're like, I'm sorry, Doug, we got some bad news. I'm like, well, what happened? And they said, we went with somebody else. I'm like, what? Why? They're like, Doug, he was beating your rate by 0.5%. And so rather than getting frustrated, which is what I usually got when I'd lose a deal to an online guy or a broker, I ended up getting curious. And I asked him, is the dude local? Tell me about him. Turns out the guy was local. His name was Michael Barnett, and he worked for Elite Mortgage. I called up Michael the next day. Michael didn't know it, but I was interviewing him to figure out what it was like to work on the brokerage side of the fence. A couple months later, I go to work for Elite Mortgage, which is the parent company of PWM. And to this day, Michael sits like 4 doors down from me in the corporate office whenever we go in. But guys, I could not have anticipated how much my business would explode when I could go after the other piece of the pie. I'm still offering all the same services. I'm still offering the communication and the accountability and the work ethic and the transparency. I'm just doing it at a better price and more products, right? It doesn't matter what you're selling, guys, whether it's money, cars, or HVAC systems. When you have more products and better pricing, it makes your job easier. And that's why we are in the setup we are as a broker. So side by side, right? Direct lender, you got one bank, one set of guides. Traditionally, you're going to see higher rates and fees. Wholesale brokers, multiple banks. You don't just got to push one brand. You've heard of the phrase, when the banks compete, the borrower wins. And every time you're pricing a loan, man, banks are competing for that business. And so you got more flexibility, you got better pricing. My last slide, and then we'll move on, is imagine you're not selling money, guys. Imagine you are selling a car. You're in the car industry, and all you can push is one brand. Let's say Hyundai, right? They're a great brand. And all I'm pushing is Hyundai. So I get this young comes in, they're like, man, Doug, we want a fast car. And I'm like, whoo, you want the Hyundai Sonata? I mean, that thing is smoking quick. They're like, well, Doug, what about this brand called Ferrari? I mean, it looks pretty fast. We got this pamphlet. And I'm like, no. You want the Hyundai Sonata, I'm telling you. You see, the problem is when you only have one brand to offer, one brand is never going to be the best at everything. You're not going to see a car brand out there that has the fastest car and the safest and the most affordable and the most luxurious and the most eco-friendly. You're not going to have that, right? The reality is that car brands, just like banks, do a couple things well and everything else is just okay. And as a broker, you could take the good a bank has to offer, maximize it, and then leave all the rest, right? You got a borrower that had a tough year during COVID. They got to go some non-QM bank statement or DSCR, no investor, no income product. We got those products. You got the A paper borrower that needs the 21-day close with full transparency and a great back office. We got that kind of lender too. But your ability to cater to the uniqueness of every different borrower is what makes this model so powerful to you, the loan officer, and to your borrowers. Pillar number 3, moving on. Pillar number 3 is the education and training pillar. Like Mr. Pitt Miller's with me. He joins me a lot in our trainings. He is a big producing loan officer, very successful and seasoned in the industry. And what we want to do at PWM is we want to train you guys, our loan officers, on how to produce at a high level. So step one in that is we have this, we call it PWM Pro LO University. It's an entirely online platform where you work through modules and you'll learn the basics of how to be a loan officer. Guys, when you pass your test, you're all excited. You go to work for your company and you realize you don't know a whole lot, because the test doesn't teach you how to read a credit report. The test doesn't teach you how to go through income asset documents or how to calculate a self-employed borrower versus a W-2 versus a part-timer versus someone that wasn't working for 6 months because of COVID. It's not going to handle all this nuance. And so you come in the industry wide-eyed and ready to go, and you realize, oh my gosh, there's so much I need to learn. And so at PWM, we close that gap. We take you as a new loan officer or maybe even a mid-producer, and we give you the skills and knowledge to be able to succeed, to reduce that learning curve so you can get out there and start pushing loans effectively. So this platform that we've released was a couple weeks ago, super powerful, a lot of fun. You can search all the videos at Income Calcs and gives you all of the foundational base you need to be a great loan officer. Secondly, we offer daily trainings. That's where me and Pitt come in and other big producing loan officers. Every day, man, we got some kind of training for you guys, whether it's a loan lab or a voluntary accountability, how to talk to business partners, build your business, right? Or an all company meeting. We are here every day for you guys to make sure you're getting top-notch training. Because we don't just want to have you guys loans, right? We want you guys to be the big producers. We want you to be the Pitt Millers and the guys that are closing big volume and are top 1% earners in the US. We want everybody to get there, right? Our business model, and you will see when I get to pillar number 4, is that we succeed, you do. And that's our mantra, and that is the idea behind everything we've created here at Pacific Wholesale Mortgage. Now, if you are a brand new loan officer, and this is my last pillar slide on this pillar. If you have not closed 6 loans in the last 6 months, we have an aggressive mentorship program for you where you'll be paired with an experienced loan officer who has that seasoned pair of eyes that are going to be double checking your files and helping you from application to funding to make sure that you guys understand what's going on. You're not missing stuff. You work hard. And your reputation is everything in this industry. And if you end up messing up your first hand loans, it undoes all that progress for you. You get disheartened. You start to wonder if this industry is for you. We don't want that for you guys. We want to pair you with someone who's got the right energy and experience to help get you through those first few loans as you're going through the learning curve of being a new loan officer. Now, you do split your commission at the end of the day with these guys 50-50 because they're putting in a lot of time and effort. It's only your first 3 loans. But we want to make sure you guys are in good hands, because when you issue a pre-approval letter, your reputation's on the line, and so is ours. So we want to make sure that you guys have the right kind of training to excel out there. So again, that's the mentorship program. All right, guys, pillar number 4 is the fun pillar. This is the pillar that would not exist without the first 3. Hey, guys, I wish I caught the vision of ownership a lot sooner in my career. I really do. I love pushing loans. Right, but I'm trading time for money, right? It's almost like I'm a renter, right? We're talking to renters every day. And we're saying, man, don't rent for 20 years, walk away and have nothing to show for it. But what do we do as loan officers? We go to work for somebody else's money, and the day we retire is the day we stop making money. Now, you can make a good living while you're producing, but when you stop producing, the checks stop coming. That's how it works when you're a producer. But we want to talk about how you can be an owner. And there's a difference. Right? What happens in this industry is you get a loan officer, he's talented, she's talented. They're like, man, I don't want to be pushing loans forever. I want to train other people how to do this. So they go open up shop across the street and they become our competition. Right? Everybody in the industry's got a branch manager above them. Right? Doesn't matter where you work, Wells Fargo, Gold One. So everybody's got somebody above you that's making a little percentage of your production. They're called managers, whether it's branch managers or vice presidents. That's how the corporate structure is set up in America. And at PWM, we've just made it easy for anybody to be a branch manager. Anybody can recruit, man. Anybody can build a team, right? You go over to Wells Fargo, you're like, hey, man, come over here and do that. It's great. You got more products, better pricing, and you get 5 people to come over. Man, now you're a branch manager over those folks. And as an owner, a co-owner alongside us, you get access to a percentage of their production, just like any other company, except we make it easy for anybody to sit in that seat. And I want to break down what that looks like. First off, I want to talk about our comp structure kind of where all the money goes. This is a busy slide, and I promise I'm going to make sense. In fact, my next couple slides are kind of busy. So as I want to kind of throw out a scenario, right, to kind of illustrate the payment of a loan officer. So let's say that you pre-approve somebody, and it's a $500,000 house price, putting $100K down, that 20%, and the loan amount is $400,000. In the loan industry, the loan officer gets a percentage of the loan size when it funds. That's how we get paid. Okay, so when that $400,000 loan amount gets paid, the loan officer is going to get a certain percentage. I'm going to talk about how that percentage changes depending on your production level within the company. But our broker take, what PWM makes on the backside is 2.375% of the loan size. Does the borrower pay that $9,500? Absolutely not. That's something the lender pays us on the backside as a thank you for sending them the business. Now, that $9,500 is what we have to work with. So where does that go? That's what I want to break down here. And by the way, guys, a company's margin, how much they charge, that 2.3 whatever, that is the great secret in this industry, right? You go over to Golden One, you're like, man, what's your margin? Dude doesn't even know, right? That's not something we talk about because your margin controls your rate. The last company I worked for, their margin was over 4%. That's why my rates were so bad over there, right? Because they had all this overhead they had to pay for, and they ended up charging the client. And that's how their rate was 0.5% higher than mine when I came over here. Okay, so that 2.375, that 9,500. So, and we're going to call them basis points, right? So basis points are a percentage of the loan. So 30 basis points goes to taxes, operations. 25 basis points goes to processing and auditing. And there is 140 basis points for our new loan officers that you get paid when that loan closes. What's 140 basis points? 1.4% size. That's kind of how the decimals work out. So if you're a newer loan officer that has produced less than 6 million in volume over the past year, you're going to start out in the 140 bips column. So when that loan closes, you just made $5,600. Now we got to subtract out $300 for an errors insurance, so it's $5,300. But you just made $5,300 and you just closed one loan. Now you can see how lucrative this can be now. Because if I'm just closing 2 deals a month, man, I'm making over 10 grand a month, and that's just 2 deals a month. Guys like Pitt, they're closing 10, 11, 12, 15 loans a month. Okay, so you can imagine the paycheck that comes with this. It's pretty nice when you can get a good empire of people that are feeding you deals, which is what we'll teach you how to do. Now, when you get to 8 million in production, now you go from getting paid 140 basis points to 150. So that $5,600 paycheck turns into 6 grand. As soon as you fund it, boom, there's your 6 grand minus $300, right? 57 bucks. Now, when you get to 10 million in production, now you get paid 160 basis points, 1.6%, which is $6,400 for one deal closing. Man, if I close 3 deals at that price point, I'm almost making 20 grand a month, right? At that healthy payout, that fat payout we're giving you. Now, you'll also notice that above the loan officer payout, there's also a little bit that goes into a company bucket, right? At the level 1, it's 42.5 basis points. At the level 2, it's 32.5, and at the level 3, it's 22.5. That is the bucket that we're able to work with to pay our builders from. Now, once a loan officer reaches a certain percentage, we stop putting money into that bucket and we give it all to the loan officer. So for example, if I'm at a level 1 and I just hit my 6 million marker for the year, it's April, I'm thinking, man, I got the whole year left, and now it's called a cap. I just capped out my company contribution, and so now I get to keep 100%. So my 140 basis points jumps at the bottom here to 182.5 basis points. You're making $7,300 on that same deal when it closes after you cap. You went from 5,600 to 73, almost 2 grand more per deal when you cap out. Now, the company stops getting the contribution. That's okay, right? Your builder's gotten paid a lot from your production for the year. Thank you. Here's all that rest of the check you get, Mr. Loan Officer. And as you can see, as the levels go up, you do more volume, and then everybody caps out when they reach a certain volume amount for the year. And then for the rest of the year, you get your full basis points. That 182.5 is all yours, Mr. Loan Officer, because hey, you did a great job, you did good volume, here it is. So this company bucket is what I want to talk about our builders. So how is this distributed to you guys out there who want to build a team? Let's answer that question. So Same loan size, 400,000, right? Loan officer gets their 5,600 and the company gets 1,700. That's the bucket. That's that 42.5 bips. 1,700 is what we have to work with when you close a deal. So how does that go out to the builder? So let me talk about branch levels. So if I recruit Pitt and 5 other people, anybody that I recruit gets on my level 1. I recruited them. I did the work. They're on my level 1. So we say that you get 17.5% of the company bucket of all the loans that close on your level 1 as soon as you recruit your first loan officer. As soon as I bring on my Pitt and he's got 10 loans he's bringing on a month, I get 17.5% of the company bucket of every single one of the deals he closes until the day he caps, right? When he caps that year, that he's going to make all the riches, and the next year it restarts and I start getting paid on him again, right? Now, anybody that my level 1 recruits, I recruit Pitt, he's on my level 1. Pitt's like, man, Doug's making easy money. He's making mailbox money. That's just showing up. I got this originating money I'm making. I'm sweating. I'm working 12-hour days. He's over there just collecting a check. I want to do that too. So Pitt goes out and he recruits 10 people. Anybody that my level 1 recruits, which would be those people, become my level 2. Did I recruit them? No, my level 1 recruited them, right? But incentivized sharing tends to trickle down and get bigger, right? So anybody on my level 2 running around, they recruit somebody, man, those people become my level 3. That's how our levels work. And as you can see, we pay percentages of every single layer if you bring on enough people. So once you bring on 5 people, when I personally recruit 5 loan officers, I unlock level 2. Now I actually get the 20% of all their production. And once I bring on 10 loan officers, now I unlock my level 3. I'm getting 12.5% of all the loans closing on my level 3. So as you recruit more people, you can reach down and get paid on lower levels. So again, it's incentivized sharing. If I've recruited 9 people and I'm 1 away from that 10, and my level 3 is just doing crazy volume, I'm doing whatever I can to get that next loan officer because I want to unlock level 3. I want to get that 12.5% of the 40 loans that closed last month. Man, that's thousands and thousands of dollars I'm missing out on because I haven't recruited enough folks. So it's an incentive. And this is how a video goes viral online. It's incentivized sharing. How does a video get 1 million views? One person watches it, that's hilarious, shares it with 5 people, they're all laughing, they all share it with 5 people, and it just compounds, and then pretty soon you got 1 million views. It's crazy, overnight success. But it's incentivized sharing. That's the idea behind PWM. And that's how, guys, we've grown to almost 500 loan officers strong in like 2 years. That growth rate is unheard of because of the incentivized sharing. Man, everybody, man, my partner, Robert, right? He works for Berkshire Hathaway. He's got 1 recruiter recruiting, and he's got like 300 agents working out of that office. And this is a talented recruiter. This dude's bringing on agents all the time. But can you imagine if every single one of Robert's 300 realtors were also recruiters? Man, how much faster would his Berkshire Hathaway office explode with recruiting if every single realtor was incentivized, if they wanted to bring on some people and make some mailbox money? So let's put some numbers on the board. Let's see what this looks like. The other thing I do want to illustrate, guys, if you add up all the percentages, once you grow to 40, we pay all of the company bucket to you, 100%. Okay, so I want to make sure I illustrate that. You are true owners alongside of us when you grow your team big enough. So we're going to make money on the journey with you to 40. But once you get there, you get to keep it, but only all of it. 100% payout, true ownership split with our builders. All right, so I want to put an example on the board of kind of some of the figures, kind of wrap your head around a little bit. So let's say that I go out and recruit, it takes me 2 years, and I bring on 4 quality loan officers. I'm happy about it. I got my 40, and I've unlocked all 7 layers now. And let's say that every year after that, each one of my branch levels doubles. So in a year, all of my 40 managed to double themselves to 80 on my level 2. And then year 3, my 80 turned into 160. And then year number 3, that 160 turns into 320. This is how it works, right? If you study this sort of setup, this is kind of traditionally how it goes. So let's say that I have a big team, right? In like 8 years, and they're all closing just 1 deal a month at 400,000 loan amount. Now, we're not teaching you guys how to close 1 loan a month. We're teaching you how to close 10, 15, 20. But let's say you got a big team and they're just starting out. They're just getting their feet wet and they're just closing 1 deal a month. So my 40 loan officers close 40 deals on my level 1. My residual, my percentage from that bucket is almost 12 grand a month. If that keeps up, I've made $142,000 a year just from my branch of 40 loan officers. Now, you can't make the big bucks if you're only getting paid off the people you recruit. This is why we pay you off your recruits, and your recruits, because the bigger numbers are in the lower levels. So my 80 folks on level 2 close a deal. That's $27,200 I'm making a month just from that level. And if I add them together, that's $39,000 a month or $469,000 a year. I'm almost making $500,000 just from my 2 levels. Now, I'm not going to go through each one. You guys can see the numbers, but you can see how it gets kind of crazy towards the end. It's big numbers. It's the kind of numbers you only see from somebody who owns a company. You're not going to get these kinds of numbers, guys, as a single producing loan officer. You got to have vision and the ability to duplicate yourself to really leverage your time to get the big numbers. The bigger numbers, guys, are in the lower levels. We have a competitor that's pays 3 levels deep. And you could see that if we got 3 levels deep, you're making a good living. But you can make almost 10 times that amount with a company in 7 layers deep. That's why we go so deep, guys, because again, the bigger numbers are in the lower levels. Okay, so this is just an example of someone that's, a new loan officer, 140 bips, right? You could see how the examples change. I'm not going to go through each one because we're getting low on time. But I want to kind of do a wrap up here, guys. So for those of you who maybe don't want to participate in the ownership side, you're like, no, I don't know if I want to do that. That's fine, right? This is still a great company for you to work for because 90%, 90+% of all of the training is for you, the loan officer. If you pay attention to that model, guys, nobody makes any money till somebody closes a deal. So all of our training is for you, the loan officer. You guys are our backbone. You guys are our lifeblood. Without you, there would be no builders. There would be no income, anything like that. So know that this is a great home for you if all you want to do is push loans. Because you have so many layers of support above you. You have potentially 7 people above you that you can lean on and reach out to if you need some help. That's probably the thing I like most about this model is the sense of community that you walk into at our company. Most lending's cutthroat. Most lending, we're in the same office. Either you're getting a deal or I am. I'm getting paid or you are. But in this shared setup, a lot of people are getting paid. And so they all want to make sure you succeed and they want to help. They're incentivized to help support you. Second way to come aboard as a builder, right? You get access to that team builder payout. Guys, I've been doing the loan game for a while, right? I got pretty good at it, right? Contact a borrower, build some value, close the deal on time, contact another borrower. It's rinse, it's wash, it's repeat. And I do this over and over again, just swinging my hammer. And then a couple of years ago, I actually got injured, broke a couple ribs in the jiu-jitsu accident. And it was really hard for me to work. And I couldn't afford to take any time off because I had so many files in contract and I didn't show up and swing a hammer the next day. It wouldn't go anywhere. And it highlighted my vulnerability. It highlighted the fact that I have to show up and show up big every day to keep this engine running. Meanwhile, my business partner, Robert, who's my broker, right? He gets paid a little bit every time I close a deal. I think I called him like 5 times in the 4 years we've worked together with questions. And yet he's sitting in the ownership seat and he's getting that mailbox money every time I close him. He's probably made hundreds of thousands off of me and my production over the last 3 or 4 years. So I see the seat he's sitting and I'm like, man, I want to sit there. I think that's the smarter money. And so for those of you who catch the vision of ownership, of building something, of duplicating yourself, then you also have a place here at PWM as a builder. All right, so for those of you who want to come aboard as a recruiter, right, and you only want to come aboard as a recruiter, right, you don't necessarily need your loan license to be a recruiter because you're not selling money, you're not selling loans, you're not talking about interest rates or APRs. In fact, you're not allowed to. All you're doing is going to other places and saying, hey, come work at PWM. It's a great environment. I'll support you. I'll bring you aboard. We got great rates, a lot of products. You're just talking to loan officers about this opportunity or people who want to become loan officers. That's the builder role. And if you're just a builder, you're going to have access to that same profit share model I talked about. And you're going to be brought on as a 1099 independent contractor. And then for those of you who want to be a loan officer too, right? You want to push loans, you want to be good at the loan game, you can come aboard obviously as a loan officer. Now, all of our loan officers who are brought aboard are automatic builders. At that point, if you decide to build a team 5 years from now, you can't. You bring somebody on, you're going to get override from them. Okay, but as a loan officer, you got to get your license. You got to take your 20-hour course and pass your NMLS test and get your license sponsored with us. Once you're sponsored, you're good to go. We'll plug you into all the trainings, get you set up on how to sell and how to originate so you can hit the ground running as a loan officer. Now, depending on the state that you're hired in, California and Oregon, it's W-2 as our loan officers. But if you're outside of those two states, meaning loan officers out of Texas, Arizona, Colorado, or Florida, you guys are coming aboard as 1099 as well, just like the builders are. And that's just because licensing stuff changes state for state. But that's the other option that you guys have. So 2 ways to come aboard at PWM, guys. That's really all I had prepared for the day. You know, I just want to mention that if you like what you heard and you're like, man, this sounds like a cool opportunity, track down the person that shared this video with you, okay? Because they are your link to the company. They are your onboarder, your sponsor, and they're going to make sure you come aboard and get plugged into all the right stuff so that you can excel here with us. Mr. Pitt, do you have anything to add?
I love it, Doug. I want to share a little bit if I could. I want to share 2 things with everybody. So first, I want to share the growth of where we're at. So 2020, Doug didn't do very good getting loan officers here. He only got about 90 loan officers here, Doug. But in 2021, Doug did pretty good. I've never seen somebody get over 300 loan officers. And look at how we're doing in 2022. These are loan officers. So right now, Doug, you have 465 licensed loan officers at your company, and you have 50 people waiting for their license to go active right now. I just think that's amazing, Doug. Good job.
Wow. And that 2022 number is just for 1 month.
Just very good. Just for 1 month. Exactly. Yeah, that is great. And then second thing I want to share with you here, just give me one moment here. Let me see if I can share it. I want to share with you. I want to share with you just what I've accomplished, because, you know, you put up some numbers on one of those slides. It's too big for pity to comprehend. Come on, I'm just a little guy here. But this is my charts. The way this works is, I know it's hard to see, but these are people that are underneath me in the company. And so if I go to this nano node, you can see, Doug, that right now, in not quite 2 years, I have 92 licensed loan officers underneath me. And I have a team bigger than that with some team builders, but not everybody builds. So, I have a couple of people that have built out the bigger team so far. But I'm here to support all those people and to get them to be able to come in and grow. And it's a lot of fun when you can help other people come in, and then they can start building their own team of people. I've never worked in a company, you guys, that it's like it is here in terms of being able to build your team. There's nothing holding you back from coming aboard and getting 10 people in a day. It's just up to you. There's no blockers. It's a very fluid situation. If you're a licensed loan officer and you want to do loans as a broker and you want to build a team, we've got the comp, the cap, and the rev share.
Well, and Pitt managed to grow this massive team while he was pushing loans full time, right? This is like a part-time gig, spreading the word. He knew a few people in the industry. And that's the beauty of it, guys. You don't have to, it's not even a full-time job at first recruiting a team. But if you're committed to regularly bringing folks on, pretty soon you'll start to see the kind of numbers that Pitt just showed you in just a few short years. Yeah. So again, guys, the model's working. It's exciting. We've got a lot of people winning here, and we'd love for you to come aboard. So again, track down the person that shared this video with you. I guess before we get off, I want to open it up for any questions. Anybody have any questions based on what we've gone over today? Oh, let me check any comments. All right, guys.
So stay on afterwards, Doug. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you guys.